Hey guys, got another video for today. Today I think we're going to do something a bit different from the sort of usual video. We're going to have a sort of bit of fun. We're going to actually do like a BFV Map Tier List. Now I did get a couple of comments recently saying, you know, I should do one. And I was like, do you know what? I think I'm going to give it a go. Yeah, so thank you to those that did comment now. I appreciate it. I think it's a good idea. Now, I have seen these sort of tier lists on YouTube, like in all different games from different creators. If in Battlefield, sometimes not, you know, just like Fallout, let's say, in any RPG, you know, the best weapons or the best stuff to use. I think it's they're usually quite entertaining. So I think we're gonna give it a go today. I think. Now, I have made sort of a similar video, sort of like the best maps in Battlefield 5. If you're sort of familiar with the channel. You may or may not have seen that video in the past, but I'll leave a little link in the description or a little like thumbnail in the video or something, you know, if you want to go and watch that. But so if you're familiar with the channel, you probably know what my favourite maps are going to be. I would say little disclaimers, you know, I do have a preference more infantry focused, you know, and such, so you're probably going to think what type of maps are going to be considered better than others, let's say. You know, if you disagree with me, that's perfectly fine. It's perfectly fine. You know, let me know if you disagree with me. It's all good. It's all good. Maybe make some new friends. Maybe make some new enemies with this tier list. I don't know. It's all good. It's all good. Right. So I think we're just going to go into it. So as you can see, I've got S tier, A tier, B tier, C tier is like the maps that are a bit hit or miss. Sometimes they're good. Sometimes they're not very good. You got D tier. And then we got E tier, which just the worst maps that I feel this in the game. You can see here we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 20 maps. We've got 20 maps here. Let me just check. Everything is here. I think everything is here. It looks like I did have a little play about the day before yesterday. Just having a little play about. I changed my mind a lot. So say this video, like in 6 months time, I might change my video. I might, sorry, say like 6 months time, I might change my mind again. So I think we're going to go straight into it. But I think before we go into it, I just want to say I played a lot of Battlefield 5 over the years. Majority of my time has been the Conquest game mode. Sometimes other modes, a bit of Breakthrough, bit of like Domination, bit of TDM. I will sort of, I'm just trying to think of how I want to do this. So I think I'm just going to judge it mostly on what I've played, just my experience in Battlefield 5 and in the game modes that I've played, and I would probably bring up mention other game modes on certain maps that are more playable than others, let's say, but I would say majority is sort of Conquest. But I try and be as fair as I can. There's some maps here that I want to talk about, honestly. But yeah, so I think I'm just going to go straight into it. I think so. There's no order here. It's just going to go with whatever images are here. I think the first one is Aerodrome. So I think, let me just try and, can I go up a bit? Can I go down a bit? I can go up a bit, right? So I think you should be able to see that. Let me check. Yeah, that doesn't look too bad. Okay, right. We're in here, and I think I'm going to put first one Aerodrome. I think for me, it's a D tier. I think it's a D tier map. You can have some good like sniping games on it. I think a lot of time it's just it's not that fun. I think a lot of it is you're in constant sniper fire, constant tank fire, like tanks sitting out long range, camping the repair station, just shooting in, and a lot of time you just can't escape it, you know, unless you're in that sort of main like aircraft hangar sort of area. And I think it just seems like you're just in the sight lines of somebody all the time. I don't mind it now and again, quite rarely, but I think for me it's in D tier. And I think it's in D tier just because you can get the odd good game on there. Do you know what I mean? Aerodrome, D tier. I think the next one is Arras. Now I think for me it's in C tier. It's a bit hit or miss. I think you can get a lot. You can get some good games on it, but sometimes it's it's a bit boring. You know, if you don't, as an infantry player, if you sort of venture out from that sort of main, I think this is a sea flag, which is the main sort of town area. If you sort of venture out from there, you know, it can be a bit of a mismap, I would say. You know, I would say as an all-round battlefield map, it's quite good from, say, like infantry, vehicle, planes, you know, just how all that battlefieldness comes together. I'd say it's quite a good map on that part, but I think generally it's just a bit hit or miss. This is probably, I would say it's probably one of the better sort of bigger maps, which is why it's in C tier, so you probably know what's coming in this tier list. So it's probably one of the better bigger open maps, so take that how you will. But yeah, I kind of feel like trying to rotate on the outskirts of the map, like them sort of flags, it's quite hard to rotate, and you know, like the aerodrome problem, you're just getting shot by snipers and planes and tanks and people hiding on like the grass verges, and you know, I think it's not, at times it can be a bit frustrating and a bit irritating at times, especially just to quickly mention the main village area has a sort of destruction problem where if a V1 hits it, or usually late game, but sometimes if someone just like bombing the hell out of that village area, there's not a lot to cover. There's not a lot of cover to work with, you know, trying to cap that flag, and you know, you're just constantly getting shot from everywhere because there's no cover, and then it just, you know, that's why it can be a bit of a mismap, in my opinion. Yeah, so I think for me, Arras C tier, hit or miss, but one of the better sort of bigger open maps. Right. Now, if you're familiar with my channel, you probably know where this is going to go. Next map, it is Devastation. Now, I do quite like Devastation. I think it's the best map in Battlefield 5, in my opinion. And I think it's going to go straight to A tier. Now, I don't think there's any S tier maps in Battlefield 5, in my personal opinion. Devastation, I think, although the best map in the game, I don't think it's quite S tier. I think it still has a few problems. Visibility issues can be quite poor. I think if it's better sort of visually, say like a desert map, say like Marj, I think it would be pretty much S tier, I think. And it can be quite buggy at times, Devastation, like getting caught on every pebble under the stun, getting caught on everything. It can get quite irritating after a while, very obnoxious. So, you know, it's very good, very close to S tier, but it's got tiny few problems. And I think, and just to quickly mention, you know, just talking about maps and stuff, that sort of diamond formation, that diamond shape of Devastation infantry map, I think works really well because how people rotate. It creates flow around the map, it creates movement, which is why it goes ahead of certain other maps that are a bit more linear, which I'll go into later. But I think, yeah, Devastation, best map in the game, not quite S tier, visibility issues, and just getting stuck on rubble and getting stuck on everything is my criticism for why it's not S tier, but it's a really good map and my favourite map in the game. Right, so we're going to move on to the next one. We've got Fjell, and I think Fjell, I think it's another C tier. I think it's another C tier map. I think another hit or miss map. I think generally Fjell is a good map. I think it's quite well designed. Again, you know, it's sort of like Arras, that sort of main area of where the buildings are can be destroyed a lot by the planes, which can be try and cap the flag when it's all destroyed can be really hard. So it has that sort of destruction about it that can sort of ruin the playability of it. There's another thing about Fjell, and you probably know what I'm going to say. It has a slight plane problem, let's say, and it can make the game just unplayable. Just recently, I stream on Twitch now and again, and
I was playing on Fjell, and I think I pretty much just died to planes over and over and over again, to the point where I couldn't even spawn in without dying to a plane, just because of the plane problems. It has too many planes. It's got to go in C tier, which is just hit or miss. So Fjell for me, although quite good designed. I think someone, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think someone said to me that the actual map designer who designed Fjell was the same dude from Battlefield 1 who done Argonne Forest, which, you know, is quite a good map as well. So, I mean, you can sort of see the similarities between that map, but I think if there was no planes on that map, it probably might go up to B tier. I'll be honest, but because of the plane problem, it can be a bit of a miss, and an all cap, usually 90% of the time, it's always an all cap, because, you know, it's usually the plane problem, because you're always spotted, you're always being bombed, and they're very hard to deal with. Yeah, so next one is Hamada. Now, like I said, you know, I do like my infantry stuff, and this is going to be very sort of infantry bias. Excuse me if I'm losing my voice a bit, it's getting a bit croaky, so I'm going to try and hang on as much as I can. I would say it's in E tier. In E tier, I think it's one of the worst maps in the game. Now, you can play a bit of TDM, I think, where, you know, you're in that sort of like castle, like rubbled castle, or like on the hill. Do you know what I mean? You can have some nice like TDM games on there, and that sort of thing. It's quite good. But in like Conquest, you know, if you're never near that castle area, which you can have some good sort of isolated gunfights in. I think it's just too big. The map's too big. Takes too long to rotate. You're getting shot from snipers, planes, tanks, from obnoxiously long ranges. I don't really enjoy it, honestly. Hamada, which is why it's one of the worst, in my opinion. One of the worst maps in the game. Right, the next one. Marj encampment. Now, again, I think this is going A tier. I think it's one of the better maps in the game. And I think it's slightly behind Devastation. Reason why is just because of its linearity, and because it has two variations of this. It has two conquest variations, one 4 flag, one 5 flag. The 5 flag variation is better, the 4 flag less so. 5 flag's better. I would say the reason why I've put Devastation ahead of Marj is just because, yeah, like I said, just because of its linearity. I kind of feel that infantry battlefield maps don't play as well when they're in that linear structure as, you know, as Devastation, where it's a diamond formation and people can rotate. And I think just going ahead, I wish, you know, if anyone from DICE or whatever, just try and avoid, in my opinion, try and avoid like that linearity infantry maps. I don't think they work as well as diamond shape, where you can rotate, and, you know, in my opinion. But it's really good map, Marj. Like visibility is fantastic. Running SMGs, assault rifles, you're good to go. It's a great map, and it's in A tier. Right, what we got next? We have got, I think that's Narvik. Now, I've sort of said in the past, you know, like on stream and maybe in YouTube videos, I don't know, but I say, you know, I haven't played Narvik since the beta. It's not one of my favourite maps. I think I'm going to put it in D tier. Sorry. I think probably. Let me just swap that. I think it's probably better than Aerodrome. I think I'd probably rather play Narvik than Aerodrome. But yeah, like I said, I sort of jokingly say I haven't played it since the beta. I don't enjoy it. Visibility is quite poor. I don't like how you can rotate, and, you know, the sight lines are a big problem. I think it's just not one of my favourite maps, and I think I'm just going to move on straight to the next map. We got Panzerstorm. For me, we're going to put it in E tier, I think. For me, it's one of the worst maps in the game. I would say probably in my opinion, the worst game in Battlefield, the worst map in Battlefield 5, Panzerstorm. If you play infantry on this, it's a struggle, man. It's a struggle. I don't enjoy this map at all, and I've played it a lot as infantry as well, using like a scope semi-auto, like the Seb Blaster, I think it's called, in the assault class, semi-auto. And you just sort of rotate through that sort of central free flags, you know, just running up and down. But the tanks, the planes, the sniper fire, just the sight lines are so long. It takes a long time to get to these flags, and you're very exposed a lot of the time. I think it's one of the worst maps in the game, to be brutally honest, and that's why I've put it in E tier. Yeah. Right, so what have we got next? We got Rotterdam. Now, I'm glad Rotterdam's come up, because I would like to talk about this map a bit, actually, because I know a lot of people really like Rotterdam. I know some people that like Rotterdam as well, who I quite like, but I'm gonna have to make some enemies today, unfortunately, because I kind of feel Rotterdam is a bit overrated as a map. I don't think it's as good as people make out it is, and I'm gonna put it into C tier. It's a bit hit or miss. I think the problem with Rotterdam is the sight lines, trying to rotate around a map as an infantry player, long sight lines that are got sort of long corridor sight lines, which are just always under fire from sniper fire, from vehicle, and there's not a lot you can do. Sometimes it's a map that's very hard to rotate on because of the water. You can't obviously you've got to go into a swimming animation, and you've got to climb out of it into a climbing animation, so you're very vulnerable, very exposed from these long sight lines, and it's a bit hit or miss. Like, it's a good sniping map. You can get a lot of good sniping games on there and sniping clips and stuff like that, but it's not one of my favorite maps, and it's one of the maps where the more I play, the more I sort of tend to dislike it, honestly. It's a good looking map though, great looking map, but it's not one of my favorites, and I'd say, in 6 months' time, it might go a bit down the pecking order, honestly. But I think, actually, should I change that a bit? Is it better than Fjell? I think I'm just gonna leave it like that. I think I'm just gonna change the rules as I go. I think them two there are in the right order. I think these ones here, maybe. I think this C tier are just. They're all the same. So I'm not saying like Fjell is better than Arras or Rotterdam is better than Fjell. They're just all C tier, all the same. I think that's what I'm going to say. Right, so Wake Island. I've put it in E tier. Again, this is no order, except for maybe Hamada and Panzerstorm sort of lean to the worst maps. But Wake Island, I've never really liked in Battlefield. Again, just exposed all the time, long sight lines, tanks. It's sort of quite a linear map. I've just never really enjoyed it, and it's why it's in E tier. Right, just quickly moving on. Sundan, I think I'm going to put in E tier as well. Again, big map. Big open map, maybe you could play like TDM in that sort of town area, quite very similar to Hamada, like the Hamada effect. This map, I think, is just too big, too open. You're exposed a lot of the time, a lot of sniper fire, tank fire. You can get some good sort of isolated gunfights in the town area, but it's just, I don't find it very fun, and it's just it's not a fun map to play, honestly, and it's why I think, in my opinion, it's one of the worst maps in the game. Very similar to Hamada, I think. Right, so we've got Iwo Jima, from one of the Pacific maps. I think it's the first Pacific map. Let me check. It is, first Pacific map, and I think we're going to put it in D tier, I think. I quite like it, again, I quite like it on TDM in that sort of them tunnels and them caves. It's quite fun to play. breakthrough on attack, although the first sector can be quite hard to push. You know, it's a gorgeous map, actually. Actually, it's just say that for all the maps in Battlefield 5, they're all visually gorgeous. And, you know, if you're just comparing it on just visually, I think every single map in Battlefield 5 would be S tier, honestly, just for the visual side of it, to be brutally honest. But I think it's just a D tier map. I think on Conquest, and, you know, even like you said, you know, Breakthrough has its moments, but I think generally it's not that enjoyable. You know, again, these big maps suffer from the exposure, sight lines. You're always under fire from tanks, snipers. You know, these long range maps. It's the same on every single one. And I think for me, it's just a D tier. I think, my honest opinion. Right, so we have got. Right, so next one is Lofoton Islands. I quite like this map. So I think this is only available on. Correct me if I'm wrong. It's only Domination, I think. I quite like this map. I think it's a very good map. And I think it's going to go straight into A tier. I think it's on par with Devastation and Marj. I think like you could probably say, or you could criticize it in saying, you know, it's only a Domination server. It's only a Domination map. But I think generally it's quite a well-designed map, I think, and it's fun to play. When I play it, I usually tend to do quite well on it. I like it. I think it's a good map. It's a good time. It's a shame there wasn't more game modes or like a slightly bigger, or, you know, I don't know. But I think it was especially built for Domination, wasn't it? Or like competitive Battlefield. I think a lot of competitive players play this. I think it's quite a very popular map from my impressions, and I quite like it. I think it's an A tier. And that's it. Marita. Now, I quite like Marita, but I don't think it's A tier. I think it's a B tier map. I think it's quite good. It can suffer from that sort of like just deadlock, Marita deadlock, where you're just fighting for that C flag and you just can't rotate. And it happens all too often, Marita. And that's why I would criticize it. It does have sort of flank routes, but I kind of feel like it needs another sort of flank route or something like that. I'm not really sure. But another sort of criticism is the visibility and why it's not A tier. It can be very hard to see people hiding in these bushes and in this shrubbery and this foliage, you know. And yeah, that's why it's not A tier. If it's the sort of deadlock and the visibility issues, but you can have some great games. I've had some fantastic games on Marita. It's actually, if you've watched one, because I mentioned before, I made a video for Fast. This actually did feature in my best maps, quote unquote, in Battlefield 5, and it was in third place, and I think it's one of the better maps in Battlefield 5, but it's not quite A tier in my opinion. And yeah, you're gonna have some good games on it. Right, so quickly moving on to Operation Underground Metro, as other people like to call it. Now, I think it's B tier. I think generally it's a good map. I like the flank routes. I think generally it's probably one of the better Metro like iterations in Battlefield games than previous. It's got like the flank routes. It's got that sort of flooding area you can flank, and sometimes you can't flank. And I quite like that. I'm not gonna lie. I think that's good design. I think generally one of the better Metro maps. And then you've got the sort of, you know, like I've mentioned before, like the weakness of linearity, the weakness of infantry linearity maps. I don't think they play as well as Diamond Shape, where people can rotate and stuff. You've got a bit of like rotation, like I mentioned, like where the flanking routes and stuff like that. Another sort of criticism of why it's in B tier is it's kind of like the Fjell problem, and you know what I'm going to say. And I've said it in like whilst I'm in stream. It's like the shotguns on this map. Oh my god, they drive me crazy, especially on PC where you die exceptionally quick. It can be unplayable. I mean, you could on a bad day you could move like underground to a C tier. I think if the shotguns are out, it's not fun. But I think it's a good map. I think generally underground is a good map. And yeah, it really depends on the day, but I think generally it's a good map. Right, so we've got another. Right, so next one we've got Pacific Storm. It's another battlefield, another sort of Pacific map. I'm not sure where to put this. I'm thinking D or E tier, honestly. Maybe D on a good day. I don't like the water, like trying to get between the islands against sniper fire, but I would say sometimes you can rotate on this map just because you've got cover in the bushes and stuff like that. At times it's quite fun on TDM as well. I'm not sure. I think I'm going to leave it in low D tier. I think Pacific Storm. Again, just rotation problems. You're always under fire. You've got water to navigate through, to like, just levels of exposure, tanks, snipers. But you can rotate slightly bit better because you can use the bushes quite effectively, I think, to sort of rotate and stuff. But I'd say a low D tier maybe. I might change my mind. Yeah, Pacific Storm, I think D tier. It's not great, but you can go have some fun sometimes. What have we got here? Solomon Islands. Now, I don't mind Solomon Islands. I think, in my opinion, I think it's one of the better Pacific maps, honestly. But it can be a bit hit or miss, which is why it's going in the C tier. And like I mentioned, C tier, they're all the same. They're all C tier. There's no like order here. Like Arras isn't bad. Like they're just all C tier. I think I don't mind Solomon Islands. I've had some great games on there. I think it suffers from that C flag, kind of like Marita at times, where if you don't have C flag, it can be very hard to push into it. Do you know what I mean? You get there's a tank repair station there, so if a tank gets control of that island area, it is so hard to push in because you've just got sight lines. It is sightline heaven. You're trying to push that C flag. It can be a very hit or miss map just on that C flag interaction. If you don't have control of it, you're sort of funneled in. The way it sort of works, the map design is like you're just funneled into tank and sniper fire and fire all around. You've got a few flank routes on the left and the right where you can do like long flanks, which you can sort of creep up behind them, which can work. Which you can get some good games on Solomon. I don't mind it I don't mind playing it every now and again. But like I said, it's a hit or miss map, and I think it's C tier and the best Pacific map in my opinion. And we're going to move on to Twisted Steel. Now, I'm not really a fan of this map. I think it's a D tier map, honestly. I've probably, if anything, I'll probably put it ahead of Pacific Storm. Like I said, these are no order. These three are no order. They're all D tier, but maybe I don't know. I'm sort of making up as I go along. don't take C, D, or E seriously. They're just no order, except like Hamada and Panzerstorm. Twisted Steel, I think, again, exposure. If you can have some great moments on that bridge area, pushing that bridge, you can get some really nice streaks, stuff like that. But you generally tend to stick on that bridge area. And if you don't, and you're rotating around, it can be a bit boring, just rotating and getting shot from everybody on the bridge area. So you just tend to stick to the bridge. And it's just okay. It's okay. It's quite good on the grind mode. Do you remember that? Just very sort of infantry heavy game mode, if you remember that grind mode. It's quite fun on there. You get some nice streaks and clips for YouTube and stuff, and etc. But I think generally it's not that great. Do you know what I mean? So I'm gonna put Twisted Steel in D tier. Mercury. I think again, I don't mind Mercury. I think it's a bit hit or miss as well. So I'm going to put it straight into straight into C tier. It's a bit hit or miss. You know, like the town area is quite fun to play in. I think it's TDM again, different game modes. TDM is quite fun where you can just run about that town area, and I think is it Domination as well. Domination, you might have to correct me on that. You know, it's in that town area, and it's can be quite fun. And Conquest is, you know, is you're like controlling the hill, and you're getting shot by planes all the time. You're getting shot by tanks all the time. You're just constantly under fire from something. It feels like, and you're always exposed from something. And I think, you know, you can get some good games on there. It's very hit or miss, but generally it's a bit of a miss. Actually, I'll probably put it on the weaker C tier, maybe. Like I said, don't take that seriously. Don't take the order seriously. But I'd say maybe it's one of the weaker ones, just because of like the sight lines and stuff like that. Just always under fire from something. Maybe on a bad day it could push down to high D tier, maybe. I'm not sure. I might change my mind on that. I don't know. Yeah. And I think, right, so we're on the last one, on the last map of Battlefield 5, and well, actually, no, we do have one. We do have one more, actually. Thinking about it. So we've got an ultimate one, and that is Provence. And I think, again, it's another hit or miss map. I think technically it's probably one of my... I don't mind Provence, actually, on Conquest. You sort of stick to the town area. You can get some really nice games on there. Some memories of using 100 kill games with the MP40 on this map, and, you know, just in that town centre. But at the same time, you know, it can be a bit of a miss map, and you're getting shot by all the tanks just into the village area. And the sight lines trying to rotate out of the village can be, you know, if you played it, you know what I mean. It can be quite obnoxious from snipers, tanks. I would say it's quite a good sort of vehicle map and infantry. From a vehicle side, it's quite a good map. From a vehicle player's side, it might be, you know, quite a good map. But I'd say it's hit or miss, really, and it goes in C tier. I don't mind playing a bit of Provence. And just to quickly mention, if we talk about the Domination, I think, you know, the Domination will probably go into A tier as well. Or for those that remember the very first iteration of Domination, because the current Domination map is different from the original. And I would actually say that is very high or S tier. Very high or S tier, I think, in my opinion. The first iteration of Domination, I still love that map. I love playing that map. Maybe high A tier if I'm being a bit overly... No, I think maybe S tier, maybe. I think if we're just strictly talk about that, the old Domination one, for those who remember. But I think as it is now, it's just a C tier map, I think, honestly. Yeah, so I think we do have one more, and just give me a quick... Right, so I've just, like I said, there is another one. I've just added a new one here, and it is the Halvoy. Halvoy Firestorm map. Now, I quite like Firestorm, and I think generally this is a good map, I think. Now, where would I put it? I think maybe like B tier, C tier. I think it's not. I don't think it's hit or miss. I think generally you can have, if you're a good player, you can generally do well on Halvoy. And I actually quite like. I've always quite liked Firestorm. I thought it was a good effort. It was a shame it died so early, but I thought it was a good Firestorm map. And just generally Firestorm was good. And I don't know, I might change my mind. Maybe C tier, maybe, I don't know, I'm not sure. But you know what, I'm going to stick with that, I think. So that's it, that's my final That's my final tier list for Battlefield 5. Like I said, I might change it. Like in 6 months' time, I might tweak it. I might finesse it. I might change my mind. I'm not sure. When I upload this video, I might have already changed my mind and might go, no, this needs to go down here. This needs to go down here. But for the time, as of film this at this time, I think. Yeah, I think that will do. That will do, I think. Yeah, I think for me, it's good. Yeah, so let me know what you think. Do you agree? Do you disagree? It's all good. It's all good if you disagree with me. It's all good. Let me know what you think. I hope you enjoyed. Subscribe if you haven't already. Back to sort of like normal videos next week. Thank you for watching. And hopefully it's not too long, this video. I might sort of cut it down a bit, but hopefully it's not too long. Thank you for watching. I'll see you boys in the next one.